I guess, first of all, I have fullest respect for the concept of telemedicine as well as the kind of work that you have done. Yeah. It is quite interesting that most of the litigations start basically when you have expectations. Yeah. It's quite interesting to know that number of medical negligence cases filed against allopathic doctors versus number of cases filed against homeopathic or Ayurvedic doctors. If you find them in proportion, then you will find very less number of cases being filed against homeopathic or Ayurvedic doctors. Yeah. Why does that happen so? Does it mean that they are better care providers or some such kind of thing? Probably all of them are equal. But because the expectations from an allopathic doctors are higher, probably the stakes are higher, probably the costs are higher, and hence the litigation is higher. Now, in the nascent phase of telemedicine, when a patient, as it is odd, yeah, oh my God, look here, I am being consulted by somebody sitting there and I am seeing on the screen and they are seeing me on the screen and expectations are so low from it, hence probably the chances of litigation are also going to be low. The second issue that you spoke of is, I do fully agree with you that if all the time we keep on talking of something will happen, something will happen, something will happen, then the law will not progress and science will also not progress. We have to be experimental all the time, and I fully agree with that because that's a concept all across the world, so there's no question about it. However, we also have to understand that when such kinds of things happen, and we are talking of a legal kind of a society which is so primate that in last 20 or 25 years we have not been able to even settle one simple issue, yeah, as to when do you call some doctor a criminally negligent one and a civil negligent one, yeah, and that too when a case starts, 99% of the cases ultimately the doctor comes scot free. But the process of going through that process of litigation by itself is more than a trouble, than the judgment of it. So when we are dealing and frustratingly working on these basic issues, having issues more complicated without not being mentally prepared for it, and not taking into account the possible things, I think we are taking people for a ride to some extent. So we must make it very clear that these are grey areas. We must make it very clear to the patients who are taking telemedicine consultations that, well, this is maximum that is possible. And we also must tell the consultants who are giving the services that, well, these are the lacunae. This is where we are here to help. Have full trust and faith in us. We are here to support you. But all said and done, most often, whether it is big hospitals or big groups or big companies, when it comes to cases, doctors have to fight their own battles. Nobody comes to support them. And the same happens to the patients also, unfortunately.
And, I think still in India, still doctor is still a god for a patient most of the time. And that is why you see very less indications. But scenario is changing very fast. And recently we had 1 crore compensation being given, even though there was an informed consent which was not held valid by the court of Supreme Court. That was the Nizam's Institute where incision biopsy of mediastinal mass was required. Recently, 15 days ago, one compensation of 3.4 crore is given for medical negligence. So things are changing. And again, once again, I reiterate that again, I am not against telemedicine. I talked to somebody 16 years ago and advised him, being an ENT surgeon, I helped him develop a whole software on that. But laws are changing very fast. And unfortunately, India, as far as law is concerned, sir will also agree, especially healthcare, pharma, life science laws are, I still call them in infancy compared to global standards. They're absolutely in infancy. And when they think there is a patch here, there is a hole here, they will patch it there. There is a clinical trial, oh, there is an issue in compensation, let us come out with guidelines. Oh, there is an issue with informed consent, come out with stringent guidelines on informed consent. This is how it's a patches, it's a law full of patches in healthcare and pharma in India. That is why the problem, in fact, I've been talking to DCGI office, they also don't know, they say, Dr. Antani, we also don't know how to interpret this law. You take your interpretation, we take our interpretation, let us decide what happens in future. This is the answer which I have received from Drug Control General of India. So once again I am telling you, just be aware, these are the things which can get triggered. So do homework before, like having a good contract with third party with strong indemnity clause is not frightening. It is a golden advice which I am giving you free of charge.
Are there any other questions? Yes. Please
announce yourself. Okay, my name is Sumit Guju, and
My name is. Okay. Yeah, my name is Sumit Muju. So I had, so you mentioned, I'm not here to frighten you, but then I was what I was going to say, so I should hire you. That's the advice I get. But I had one quick and very. Okay. So the question I really had was, we talked about, not being litigious society and all of that. I think the issue with one of the issues with telemedicine is the people we are targeting are a lot of times actually ignorant about the laws and their rights, and they're exactly very happy just to have a doctor. They don't which is something other than which is better than nothing for them. And I don't know how it's being run. I believe in most of the cases, at least till this point, there is minimal or no charge for such service. And if no, it's not. They're getting charged. Okay, fully charged. Okay, but anyway, so but okay. So
in fact, recent Supreme Court judgment also is mentioned. Even if you are rendering free services at government hospital,
right.
CCPA is 3 years.
Okay.
There are 2 recent judgments.
Okay. Yeah. So if it's I mean, you can cause harm to somebody, even with a good intention, it can happen accidentally. So, I mean, so if you are trying to really, take it to the next level where, we are kind of, telemedicine becomes more prevalent, and it just takes, maybe, I mean, you are a lawyer with good heart and good intention, but there are, I'm sure with all these cases, there are a lot of, well-meaning opportunities for a lawyer with a bad intent to just go and find people. And inform them, hey, this happened to you, and I can get you consent. And it happens in developers like that. They'll find people and try, and that's how the whole business runs. So fortunately, it's not like that here. But with more money flowing into this, and it growing, I'm afraid that is really something which will be challenging. And in developed countries like US, like the healthcare cost is high, and primary reason is these lawsuits. And I would hate that it would happen.
HIPAA. We don't have HIPAA. If India had HIPAA, what you will do?
Well, I mean, there is at least some privacy, and they are talking about it, so I don't know how it will go. I mean, right now, how do you enforce an HIPAA when somebody is ignorant? He is not even literate. He doesn't know his rights. How do you enforce HIPAA in that case? How do you get informed consent from that person who doesn't even understand his rights? And so, I mean, that's the. So, I mean, I just wanted to know your thoughts.
Getting informed consent whether patient understands or not, I don't agree. It is your responsibility to make that person understand.
Or the provider's responsibility.
Of course. Yes. If you are saying that if patient is not understanding, his brother, her brother, husband, sister, father, grandfather, friend, blah, 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 would be understanding. Okay. If you do anything without informed consent, you are gone. If something happens. But again, what I'm trying to tell you, I agree. I myself as an ENT surgeon has suffered a significant reputational loss because of one lawyer who sent me just a notice that Dr. Antani doesn't have time, so we will do out of court the settlement. I will take 70%, 30%. I don't want to do, but I see more issues in telemedicine rather than patient-related liabilities. I see more liabilities coming out from data issues.
how many doctors are here, medical doctors?
1, 2, 3, 4, so many.
Okay.
How many of you are?
So there are an equal number or slightly more of people from the industry. Now, can you tell me your opinion? So
tomorrow somebody, I do a lot of teleconsults. Somebody files a suit against me. I say, look, it's because of the quality of BS. I'll tell you all the parties involved: BSNL, Reliance, etc., etc. The application developer, the software programmer, the hardware, the peripheral medical device. I can give you a list of 15 people who are involved in the teleconsultation. So I say it is because of poor connectivity. The signals were not good. The video transmission was not good. The audio was not good. Therefore, I missed a mitral mid-diastolic murmur. And it's not my mistake. It's a technological. It's a technical issue.
Okay.
So what
Any pediatrician here? Any pediatrician? Okay, there is none. Pediatricians are involved in immunization, and they buy vaccines from vaccine companies. And when it comes to problems, it is immunization related and vaccination related. There are two types of problems can happen with patients, with children. Now, I have taken recently with one very big pharma company 11 sessions on liability issues on vaccination. And I was surprised, angry that I asked few pediatricians, how many of you have read the product insert of vaccine? None of them had read, and that your BSNL, your MTNL, your Vodafone, have you read contract with them? No. Because you don't have time, unfortunately. That is the worst excuse doctor has. So in that product insert of all vaccine manufacturing companies have that we are not responsible for any problem occurring to patients after this vaccine is sold, and we indemnify doctor for any claims, issues arising out of the poor quality of the content of the vial of the vaccine. This is the product insert of all vaccine manufacturing companies say, which makes them totally safe. So something happens, nothing is going to happen to Vodafone, nothing is going to happen to, with all due respect,
all
to
these
them,
people.
and
all these people,
all those people,
and I take the full liability.
That is why, because that is what I am trying to say, that telemedicine has not one third party, telemedicine has more than one third party. It's a diverging thing, not a converging thing. So when you are dealing with third parties, you need to have reps and warranties, what they are giving you, whether they have a right or not. I have come across one issue where the person who gave them software had no rights to use that software, and the issues happen. So be careful. So I see litigations or issues happening only related to data because patient still believes doctor is God. चलो डॉक्टर से थोड़ी गड़बड़ हो गई, ये मेरा नसीब खराब था, मेरी तबीयत खराब थी. It is still there. Fortunately for doctor, it is still there. But data privacy law, especially 2011 amendment, is very onerous. It is very onerous, and when anything goes wrong with the data, the person who is involved, like for example, you ask third party to collect data, you are not involved, but he might disclose by mistake. Or he might misappropriate that data somewhere. And if there is no contract between you and then ultimately people know United Health, I'm sorry to mention your name, people don't know the third party whom you have hired, for him you have given, you have a contractual arrangement. They are going to sue you only. And if there is no valid contract or a clause between your agreement with third party, then you will be liable. That is the unfortunate part under law. Yeah.
How come doctors don't have malpractice insurance?
We do have malpractice insurance, but last 12 years I have not had, by God's grace, the necessity to use it. And I pay 3,500 rupees a year for 15 lakhs coverage. My students in the United States pay $350,000 a year, and so that's a difference.
That's a different ballgame. US malpractice is a different ballgame.
We do have malpractice.
But unfortunately, there is some, they call it professional indemnity insurance for doctors. But still that awareness is,
but that does not specifically mention teleconsultation.
I'm coming to that. It doesn't mention telemedicine, it doesn't mention clinical trials, it mentions only general specific care a doctor provides to a patient. Which In fact, it clearly mentions this insurance policy does not cover any claims occurring out of doctors' participation in clinical trials. Clearly mentions. So, and because of, unfortunately, still, still litigations are not happening. 30 साल में कुछ नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा? That is key for a panda attitude, I call it.
I would like to continue this, but we are really running short of time.
We have two last questions. Yes, sir.
We can take offline.
And after that, we can take it offline. I'm sorry, but I have to restrict it.
Data aggregators. Now, there is a lot of industry that is going on public health records, private health records, personal health records, and all of these things. And so, do you foresee any issues with those kind of data that has been collected, aggregated for so many people in one place? And what could go wrong?
Right? See, aggregating data at one place should not be an issue. But suppose something goes wrong with that data, advertently or inadvertently will become a very big issue. Because that's why I read out the sensitive personal information which clearly mentions medical records. It's such a generic statement which includes everything. Height and weight also is a medical record according to me of a patient. So as long as data is collected, there is no issue. But something goes wrong, there is a wrongful disclosure, there is a wrongful sharing of that data or wrongful theft of that data. For example, you have collected important data. कोई एक मोबाइल वाला आता है कि बॉस मैं तुमको 1 करोड़ रुपए देता हूँ तुम्हारा सब पेशेंट का दे दो. You said, recently I don't want to mention, recently 3 big shots were in jail for 30 days just because data. One person was working with one hospital, joined another hospital, and he shared interesting data, and he's a big name. He was in jail for 15 days. Nothing could be done. Data privacy law is the capital. Otherwise, patient is not going to sue you as far as possible unless you do something deadly to him.
Last question.
Yeah.
Just concerning the data, next we are doing a lot of camps and workshops. Not telemedicine directly, but then we collect a lot of data from in the camp, like patients' physical data and blood pressure, IQ. And there are a lot of people involved. It is just not the doctor. There will be a lot of paramedics and others involved. So, have the honest life. Just want the doctor who is sitting at the last center and just see.
In medical camps or otherwise, any information, I'm not using the word data, any information collected, gathered, stored in your OPD record, indoor record, वो जो register बनाते हो income tax के लिए 6 साल के लिए, all that is a personal sensitive information. Even forget about IT Act, IT is information, if the data is stored in any electronic form, then IT Act will come. But Medical Council and MCI also stops you from sharing the data with somebody else. And after Ketan Desai debacle, Medical Council has become very aggressive. In first quarter of 2011, they received 678 complaints against doctors by other doctors, of which 18 are given very serious ones.